Hello! If everything looks different, it's because new editing program and doll posing program who dis. If I sound different, it's because new microphone and recording software who dis. Okay? Okay. You know, it's been a long time, old friend. So, Hex lore. One of the first games I played where I got way too into the story and characters was Dragon Age Origins, back in the far-off year of Gods have mercy! Anyway, Dragon Age was one of my favorite things of all time for a good 5 to 7 years, having gripped my brain's severely limited attention span by the scruff of the neck. In hindsight, I would come to describe it as a capital letters special interest, but at the time I was just a weird little kid way too obsessed with the fantasy video games. I have very strong memories of writing 9,000 words of bad fanfiction of it in a single weekend. I miss the days when my brain was productive like that. But it's been a long time since the release of the third installment, Inquisition, and not much shorter since I stopped thinking about it. There were other games carving a bloody path straight to the special interest pedestal, and the longer we went without hearing of the fourth installment, the less and less I cared. So when I heard that it was dropping this fall and there was going to be a 20-minute gameplay reveal right now, I didn't go into it with high expectations. And I wasn't feeling it at first. The rapid, never-shut-up dialogue that talks a lot and says piss all. The wooden performance from actors I know can do better just wasn't scratching any sort of itch for me. I knew I'd play it, because, of course, but I figured I wouldn't be happy about it. A week later, and I've already planned out my first lineage, class, background, romantic interest, and I've been doing nothing in my spare time but playing Inquisition as a refresher, so if there's a lesson to be learned here, it's to always sleep on your first impressions. This series is my one great love, has been for well over half my life, and a bit of jank in the marketing footage isn't gonna change that. So I wanted to do a deep-ish delve into what I like about the news regarding Veilguard and what I don't like. We're gonna start with what I like because the more I think about it, the more there is to like. That art design kinda slaps, y'all. Actually, there's no kind of about it. With some exceptions in the creature design, which we will get to, there's a lot to like about how Veilguard looks. Dragon Age Origins was very much a product of its time in terms of art direction, and by product of its time, I mean product of being the replacement goldfish to what would have been Baldur's Gate 3 long before the Baldur's Gate 3 we know today. While it has higher fidelity and graphics in games such as Neverwinter Nights 2 and definitely Baldur's Gate, the design ethos is very similar to those Bioware/Obsidian fantasy games. Lots of brown, very pulpy kind of armor design, blood JPEGs everywhere. It was gritty in a familiar way. At around Dragon Age 2, however, the art direction took a pretty hard swerve into a more stylized look, with an emphasis on this flatter, almost Art Deco-inspired sharpness to everything, but with an added Renaissance flair into costume designs. Gone was the generic boobplate of old, in exchange for lots of layered leather and poofy sleeves with colorful fabric. Some people might not have liked the stylistic change, certainly, but it definitely helped Thedas start to carve out its own visual identity as a fantasy world. Dragon Age Inquisition has a fair bit more realism to it than Dragon Age 2, especially in its texture work, no more of that deliberate pseudo 2D stylization, but it still maintains the Renaissance Art Deco je ne sais quoi that makes Thedas what it is, now with 40% better elf faces. And Veilguard's continuing down the same path Inquisition laid out. A lot of the costume design fits that Deco Renaissance look, the lighting is very bold in a way that gives it a heightened look without looking aggressively cartoony. Speaking of lighting, can we talk about how good the lighting is on dark skin in this game? Anyone who's played a dark-skinned character in the original Mass Effect knows that the lighting on the Normandy was, and this is the proper scientific term, absolute ass. you could hardly see your character's face, and that's not fun when you spent a lot of time making them as pretty as the 2007 graphics will let you. So from a character customization standpoint, the fact that Bioware's visual and technical artists busted ass to make sure that lighting bounced off the characters in a realistic and pleasing way that allowed for visual clarity, that's pretty goddamn cool. Like, look at this shit. He's standing in a dark alley, and not only can you see his face clearly from far away, but you can also see that he's got 2 separate ambient light sources bouncing off his skin. That's so fucking cool and impressive. Fucking look at this screenshot. His face is defined solely by the way light reflects on it, but you can still see him clearly. That's how light works. I'm gonna print this screenshot out and eat it. In a more normal person thought process.
You have those?
Hey, who told you could stop unpacking? Our recording hub isn't gonna rebuild itself. In a more normal person thought process, I do genuinely like how Minrathous looks, specifically. It makes sense from a world-building standpoint that certain parts of the world have different levels of technology. Honestly, more so than all tech is stuck at medieval fantasy level for 2,000 years that other settings do. And the art design does a great job of making Minrathous still feel like a part of Thedas, even with the glowing neon signs. It also justifies my anti-chantry biases. Like, yeah, Devinter's an oppressive shithole, but so's the Chantry, and you're telling me we could have gotten Shadowrun in Ferelden if it weren't for the goddamn Pope? Boo. Boo, I say.
Do you even play Shadowrun?
I know that fantasy cyberpunk is an absolutely bitchin' aesthetic, and I'm glad we got a chance to experience something like it in Thedas. Also, while we're on the topic of character and visual design, Nev Gallus can absolutely step all over me. She has absolutely inherited Vivian's crown of being that bitch. Drip is an Ice Mage specialty, I guess. As much as I'd like to sit here and talk about art design, there's other aspects I'd like to talk about as well. Like character customization, particularly the backgrounds. While the backgrounds are indicated to behave differently than Origin's eponymous backgrounds, no hour-long prologue for you, they do bring back the part that made Origin's background special, and that's the ability to invest your character into the world around them. Fun fact, in my canon Origins playthrough, my Mabari is named Garahel, because of that line Duncan told my Serana in the prologue about how an elf named Garahel was revered as the hero of the Last Blight. That's not something I would have really thought of if I hadn't been made to get invested not just in the world, but my character's place in it. With Inquisition, on the other hand, I had to work a lot harder in the headcanon department to make my Lavellan feel reactive to all this shit. My whole clan died. I misread the flowchart I was using and my boy's family is dead. Does anyone say anything about it? Nope. Might as well have not happened. Sure, being a Dalish mattered because this is the Being a Dalish Matters game, but being this specific Dalish doesn't. And like, did being a Trevelyan specifically actually matter? Does being a member of House Kadash matter? The game has this pseudo-attempt at having characters with set backstories, but it ultimately ends up being meaningless fluff, too restricting to build an OC with a self-designed backstory, but not restricting enough to matter. Of course, that's all because the Inquisition was originally another human-centric affair, and the other races were added later in development, which is a choice in the holy shit Elven history game. Starting from the beginning should allow for the writing team to do a stronger job balancing the different ways different origins fit in this world. Also helps that Rook's backstory is more tied to factions this go around than anything else. I do think separating background from lineage, rather than the race-specific backstories of Origins and Inquisition, is a fun and exciting idea, as it allows for a much broader mix and matching of character concepts. A Dwarven Mournwatcher member is an interesting idea, given the way dwarves are disconnected from the Fade, and the tensions between Kunari and Antiva at the moment would make a Vishoth Crow very fun. Of course, this all only matters if the writing team works hard to think about the potential of 24 separate lineage faction combinations. That's a big ask. Wouldn't be surprised if something slipped through the cracks. But you can't make omelets if you ain't cute, backstory or no. And Bioware's team has promised a deeply extensive character creator with all sorts of neat features. Body morphing, vitiligo slider, good hairstyles, lighting examples so you can see what your character looks like in the actual game, undertones and complexions and melanin sliders for fine-tuning of skin tone, body tattoos, cataracts, 30 makeup options alone? The Dragon's Dogma 2 character creator may have been insufficient for planning out my Rook. And you get to do it all twice since you remake your Inquisitor as well. Can't wait to see my beloved Lavellan with actually good hair textures. Bioware, please release the character creator early if it's at all possible. I want it. I want to look at it. The companions also look pretty fun. I mentioned above how Nev's design drips with style and character, and that's true for all the characters. Bitch about the art style and presentation in the reveal trailer all you want, sure, but a Meet the Companions bit isn't that out of place for a game series that has historically balanced itself on the weight of, its party members. And they all look fun. Harding's back and benefiting from the character art upgrade. Hello, ma'am. Nev Gallus, the continuous scene stealer. We got Lucanus Delamort for all you serious edgeboy lovers. I personally love Bellara's design. While triangles and character designs are often used to denote sharpness or danger, the use of equilateral triangles specifically in her outfit gives it a geometric look suitable for an intellectual explorer, while the haphazard placement of them gives her a bit of lighthearted eccentricism. It's a great use of shape language to say a lot without saying a word. There's the Professor, who's my first pick for romance. Apparently Necromancer with nice mustache catnip is to me what Blondie with big brown puppy eyes catnip is to a lot of other players. We've got Tosh, for all y'all for whom Carlac Cliffgate was not enough big buffed horned lady. And we've got Davrin, who looks to bring a lot of charm to the game and lore to the world as a Grey Warden raising one of the new generations of the previously extinct Griffins. He also has quite a bit of exposed chest and collarbone right there, just putting that out there for the curious. And we have his Griffin Hassan, who is Baby. Overall, while there's very little we truly know about the characters, their designs speak to a lot of care and thought put into who they are and how their personalities should be presented through their designs. We do know some stuff about their combat styles that suggests that their builds are going to be a bit more tailored than just warrior plus designated subclass. Nev is specifically an ice mage, Bellara is a mage with a bow, Tosh dual wields despite being stated to be a warrior type, etc, etc. That's really fun and will help distinguish the characters from each other in combat. Which is great because I can tell you personally that trying to make 3 sword and board characters unique from each other playstyle wise is a pain in the ass. I want to play this game so badly. Even if there's stuff that's more medium exciting than super exciting. Combat's probably going to be fine. Like, I'm not hyped for it, but I'm not disappointed in it. The sphere grid-like skill trees seem like they'd be fun to fine-tune things. And honestly, having back-to-back Origins combat with Inquisitions, I can safely say that a lot of people who want Origins combat back just have greater patience than me. The way Inquisition handles stats, skills, and build options just feels more organic to me, and easier to build towards what I want. I don't know, I'm probably gonna end up being a rogue. I was thinking warrior at first since I've literally never played a two-hander main character in Dragon Age, but The idea of a sneaky, dual-wielding tomb guardian who darts around ninjaing the shit out of some grave robbers is way more fun than it has any right to be. Though, my Inquisition playthrough is making the idea of doing back-to-back elvish sword and boarding. Tempting. Level 20 High Dragon and the most damage that got done to me was from janky ragdolling. I love it. On the other hand though, Dorian in the back outliving Varric and Ironbolt 10 times over thanks to me building him towards a pseudo lifesteal build is swinging me towards Reaper a lot. I do love a good lifesteal tank. Calling Dorian a tank feels really funny, but it's true. Look at that man face take Dragon's Breath. I can do this all day! That being said, I'm not keen on the 3 companion limit. Used to be that I could take my romance option, whoever rounded out the mage fighter rogue core, and an extra person based on what we were doing. Now that's going to get complicated, especially with banter. Like, I either leave my necromancy boyfriend at home or never find out what Davrin and Lucanus bond over. That's not fun? I don't care for that, especially in a more linear game that doesn't have an open world to fuck around in. In Inquisition, if I want to see dialogue between certain companions at the cost of bringing my boy, I can just stop the plot to go take him out to the hissing wastes and go treasure hunting until dialogue triggers. Probably won't be able to do that in Veilguard, which makes me sad. Some, other parts of what we know make me a bit sad too. I did say my first reaction to the gameplay reveal was less than positive. What are those monster designs, you guys? Like, this is an ogre? No, the fuck it isn't. It looks like a generic creature in a Clash Royale ripoff with those goofy-ass orbs for eyes and ridiculous proportions that only really work if you're looking at it from the top down. This change is so baffling to me in particular because ogres have been the most consistent design in Dragon Age. Yeah, it got its face changed in Inquisition with the rest of the Darkspawn, but the proportions and general shape language have always been consistent. This design doesn't have nearly the same bulk and weight that the rest of the old designs did. This looks absurd. This looks cartoony. Fuck you, why is his penis glowing? I'm really hoping that this is just early build placeholding and it'll look better in the final game, but we've got like 4 months out to release tops. I don't know if that's likely. The designs we see in the gameplay reveal aren't much better. Like, I think these are rage demons on account of them being on fire? I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but they don't look like any other demon we've seen, and I really liked the rage demons of the past. Those big salamander-looking lava motherfuckers ripping their way from the ground. They looked like how real anger feels, and that's neat. And God, do I hate that Pride Demon. Pride Demon designs have slapped since Origins. Why the sudden change? This guy doesn't look like he'd laugh menacingly before zapping my face off. He doesn't feel big, he just feels weird. Maybe it's weird how annoyed I am that these corrupted spirits have lost their visceral edge in favor of a more ethereal design, but I am. I liked that the Fade was fleshy and awful, gave it character. I don't know. While the rest of the game has solidified Dragon Age's visual identity, the monsters and demons seem to have lost theirs a bit. A lot.
It's a pride demon!
No, the fuck it isn't. You know what else seems to have lost its identity? The dialogue. I'm praying to whatever god is listening that this is all just prologue front-loading and the game will chill out later, but By God, are people not shutting the fuck up in this gameplay reveal?
Is Solus summoning demons on purpose?
My guess is the veil is weakening, and they're slipping through the cracks.
Demons, here they come. Venatory cultists!
I hate these assholes. Guess we're sliding down.
Well, we're not in Minrathous anymore.
The tremors are getting worse.
Breathe, damn it. Take a second to let the stakes percolate instead of having the peanut gallery over there constantly providing running commentary. When people are calling this shit Marvel movie dialogue, they're not calling it that because it's snarky. Dragon Age has always had that Gen X ass snarky cynicism to it. They're calling it Marvel movie dialogue because A, the witty banter is B tier at best, and B, it's so desperate to fill the airwaves with that B tier dialogue that it wears out its welcome way too quickly. It's not fun, it's not quirky, it's exhausting, and I hope the real game treats itself with a bit more sincerity. Like, Origins was snarky, sure, but that story opened up with me being shoved into the Fade to kill a demon, and everyone in the story treated that with the gravitas it deserved. It didn't open with Mouse turning into Pride and then me waking up and going, well, that just happened. Same with Inquisition. The game set the severity of tone very quickly, and the snarky banter between Solus and Varric didn't take away from that feeling. But it's not even just a snark. A lot of this dialogue is comparable to action movie one-liners because of how disproportionately thin of character it is. Like, the whole intro scene with Harding doesn't feel like naturalistic dialogue.
Rook, you're with the Shadow Dragons. I figured you'd know Minrathous better than I do.
Sure, but Minrathous is huge, and this is nowhere near my neighborhood. I can try.
Don't worry, scouting's my specialty.
It feels very much like the game unnaturally shoehorning the character's background and specialties in just so the audience is aware of them. It's clunky. Clunky is the word for it.
I think that's the last of them.
Oh, I think that's the last of them. Gods, I hate when dialogue exists solely for the player and not the world it's in. And the clunk is not helped by some very awkward performances. Like, I know Ali Hillis has better range than this. I know Brian Bloom has better range than this. Don't know who plays Nev, but I bet they have better range than this. But something in the direction given to the performers just makes the scenes feel artificial. They lack the urgency and tension the scene demands, and it brings it all down.
The power involved. I've never seen anything like it.
I don't know. Like I said, I do really hope that this is just a bad case of an overstuffed prologue trying too hard to onboard newbies to the dialogue system, and that the rest has more scene-appropriate vibes. I'd be okay with that. Veilguard has to onboard a new audience as well as drag us oldies back into the abyss, so front-loading concepts like personality reactivity to get new audiences up to speed with how the dialogue system works before it actually starts mattering is an acceptable priority, even if it comes at the cost of dialogue subtlety. So, in closing, there's stuff I'm hyped for, stuff I'm neutral about, and stuff I'm not thrilled about, but am willing to reserve judgment on. And also, I'm 70 hours into an Inquisition refresher run as of writing this paragraph, so that's way more Dragon Age than I've played in the past 5 years. So yeah, back on board the Thetis train, choo-choo. I think the fact that the stuff I'm hyped for segment was as long as the medium hype and no hype scripts combined is proof, to me at least, that there's gonna be stuff in this game that will make it worth the asking price. I took multiple days off work to record a run of the Elden Ring DLC, only to immediately turn around and play nothing but Dragon Age for 80 hours. This is what this series does to me. Hey, if it's been 10 years, does that mean my Inquisitor's middle-aged and hot now? Is my Lavellin a DILF? Bioware, please confirm. Alright, been a while. I had plans and then I didn't have plans because fucking whoops, a Dragon Age happened, and I remembered, oh, right, I sold my soul to this series when I was 12, and there is no escape. It's safe to say that whatever I'm doing when Dragon Age gets its release date and drops, I'm topping everything and turning into a Dragon Age YouTube channel for the next however long. Because, well, this is where I live now. I think this is where I have always lived. I think I just forgot. But, yeah, hopefully I'll have something interesting in the interim, and I won't just leave y'all hanging for a while. But in the meantime, I've been Hex, and I will talk to y'all later. I forgot my own sign-out intro. Fuck. I am trying to record because it's been so hard to find recording time. But it's the 3rd of July, and my neighbors are impatient. Like, I can't go 2 seconds without pop, 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 pop. Yes, like that. Thank you very much.